Alright, so this is our game design for CS1010. It's our final project. And in this final project, throughout the whole semester, we came up with an idea that we would like a concept for a video game we thought was a good idea. And it had to relate educationally. So, for my idea, I took a game, specifically in the racing category, because I'm very into cars. I've met a lot of people through cars, and this is what had the most interest on me as a person. And the title of my game is called Drop a Gear and Disappear. It's a racing game and it will take place in various places throughout the world. So it can take place from here in America to all the way where racing is really famous in Italy, for example. It will be a single, multi, or online player game. And the cool thing about this game is that not only you deal with racing, but it also deals with aspects of you get to build the car the way you want it. I wanted to focus on that primarily hard, because when I'm playing a game, I love games that I can build myself. For example, like a car, I can customize it the way I want it, and my car is different than anybody else's. And that's one thing I thought I'd have to add to make this game and set it apart from others. So, let's see. The game genre, like I said, is racing. The concept of this game is there's going to be, so let's see there. They will face challenges such as racing other players that are competing to win, along with different types of cars that are not similar as theirs. So when I mean this, obviously all the races are going to be the same, but they're going to be separated with different classes, from Class A to Class D. And Class D cars are obviously going to be slower, like everyday cars you see, such as Honda Civics, stuff like that. But you're going to be able to build them the way you want, anywhere from the paint all the way down to performance parts, such as exhaust and turbos. Excuse me. The educational value of this game is currency, and they gain advantages and disadvantages, uh, ways to spend their money on car parts. For example, if someone goes out and buys brakes instead of an exhaust, like, not a lot of people want to do that, but it's going to help them in the long run. My target audience is for teenagers and young adults. The reason I focus on this is because the car scene is getting really big. That's where I've met most of my friends, actually, is from the car scene. And my favorite types of games to play are racing games. And the platform it's going to be on PlayStation and Xbox. I kind of had a debate when I first did this. I wanted to stick to one console, but the more and more I thought about it, the better it was to go to two consoles, because it puts the game more out there. And even if I wanted to switch from one console to the next, for example, all of the controls are going to be the same, which makes it very easy for both console users. So the look and the feel of the game is going to be very realistic, such as that if you're in that car actually driving. And that's what I really want that person to feel. A great amount of detail is what I have focused on, and I want the player to feel as if they are driving that actual car and they are entering that magic circle, which is in turn what makes games very successful in the gaming world. The game flow will be the player being the driver and taking control of the racing track and the car they built specifically. So the objectives of the game is to build the fastest car in that class. There's going to be So you're going to have to move up in each class, and with the move up in each class means harder tracks, and more importantly, you're going to get more expensive cars and more things to do to your cars. For example, you may start out with a Honda Civic in Class D, you move up to Class A and you start Ferraris and stuff, like supercars. And rules require you cannot automatically go from Class D to Class A. You obviously have to complete D, then C, and so forth. One rule that is enforced is money. It is a key factor to this game, because that is what I really wanted to put education value on, because money essentially rules the world in today's world. And it is a sad thing, but money does rule, unfortunately. But, alright, so there will be some of a story mode. It will contain certain tracks and players can race for each class. The main game mode will be the first-person view of the player driving their car throughout the track. And I know specifically it's kind of hard for me to do racing games like this, but I really like when you can zoom out and look at the car as a whole. Like, you can admire what you built, for example, and seeing all the other users' cars. And then the UI and core mechanics for this game are generally the same aspects of any other racing game out there. For example, Forza and Need for Speed. For example, the right triggers the gas and the left triggers the brake. That's pretty common around racing games. And the gameplay will be based on what the player does as to modifying their car. So you don't have to follow a set example of rules, but you do have to do it within that class restriction. Saves throughout the game will be made automatically after one completes a race, so they cannot simply finish a couple laps of racing and then just pause where they're at and save it. Like, you either have, once you start a race, you have to finish it. Let's see what we got here. To balance the game, there will be different levels of hardness, because not everyone, there's going to be more experienced drivers out there, obviously. And if it's too easy for them, they're just going to get bored and not want to play the game. So that's why we did that. And then, like I said, the 4 different levels are going to be classes A through D, and obviously D is the easiest, and you go up to A, which is very experienced and harder cars, tracks. And there would be no cheat codes, just because I wanted to focus this on real life, for example, the currency financially, and like there's no cheat codes in life, so I didn't want to put cheat codes in this game for that example. And as far as Easter eggs, I did not add these because in the real world, racing is not a funny thing and it should be taken seriously, and I did not want to imply any of these in the game, thinking that, oh, you've taken this, you can race in the game, let's take it out onto the street and someone can seriously get injured. So the player will be able to pick an avatar, either male or female, and the character really doesn't have that much of an impact because they are in a full fire suit and a helmet, so you're not even essentially going to be able to tell if it is a male or a female, besides the outline of the figure. And the reason I did that, the biggest reason, is I want that player to feel like they immerse, like they're the ones driving. So I want them to create this own image in their mind, what they think that driver looks like, which I'm hoping is them. And so the storyboard is the player will pick a car of their choice from their class, and then they are able to build their car and race other opponents. And if they beat them, then they can move on to the next level. But there will be a series of challenges within each class, and then once they beat the top person in that class, then they can move on to the next class, and so forth. And then also another cool feature I added to this in my game design is I wanted people to be able, if they didn't want to get rid of their car, they didn't have to. So like, for example, let's take the Honda Civic again. If you want to build that better and faster, you can. You can move that from Class D all the way up to possibly a Class B. And the reason I did this was because I know when I don't want to see all these cars I build just go to nothing. Like I build it and then I just sell it. Like I like to keep building that car and see how far I can go with it. So for example, the world or character development will be the user has the option to change the outfit on their driver along with the helmet, such as colors and patterns and designs. And the biggest reason I did this is because not everybody wants the same. They want, like for example with their cars, they want to be able to customize. I feel like that's personally is me. That's a big component. And the world aspect will be mostly involved when the driver is racing on the track. For example, if you're in Seattle, Washington, it's going to be super rainy there. You're going to have to slow your speed. Like, I want to take real world aspects. And if that person does have, like, for example, Xbox Live or PlayStation, I'm not sure what they call it, but like you can get live updates and go online and stuff. I want these to be like, if you're playing in December and racing in a track in December in Utah, typically it's going to be snowy, and I want this to, like if it's snowing outside, I want it to have a correlation with the game, like it's snowing in the game on the racetrack. And then so far, with audio and music, I was kind of torn about this, if I should add audio or music, but I kind of did a little bit of both. So music would be mostly in the garage when they're building their cars. They're able to listen to music, have something in the background while they're building it. And obviously it does take time, so that you don't just want to sit there the whole time with nothing. So they can sit there and build their cars, and then also listen to music. And then audio, nothing will be playing when you're driving the car. It will all be sounds and everything like that. Let's see. So a society issue that could have a negative effect on, or let's do positive, because I feel like that has the most advantage here. I feel like it can help them teach about, or it can teach them about cars in a sense, along financially, and it can also build very good friendships. For example, most of my friendships have come over cars, and I'm very fortunate to have that and get into the car scene. And I hope that I want to put that into the game where people have the same common interest, and it's a good way to build friendships. The only negative effect I can think of would be the high speeds in the game. When you're racing around a track going 125 miles an hour, some of these kids may think, oh, I'm going 125 on the track, why can't I in real life? That's the only negative I can think of. And a way it can help society in a way, video games are a great way to keep children and adults busy. It helps them keep out of trouble, and honestly, I think it benefits society as a whole. This game should be created because it allows the user freedom to build their car of their dreams to their everyday driving cars, if they choose. Personally, like I said, I love to customize stuff. It's what I live for. In a game this is most similar to is Forza. So, for example, Forza lets you customize and everything, but it's not in my game as it takes. I really like the real-world aspect where if it's raining outside, it's raining in the game. And that's something I hope to do to make this game great. Well, thank you. That's my video, and this is Mason Payan, and thank you.